Parents, you are literally doing everything you can by staying calm, reassuring, and protecting your teen who is struggling with FND. But somehow things still are not improving, like your child continues to struggle. What if some of the things that you're doing to help or you think are actually keeping the FND stuck? Because most parents have no idea this is happening, but once you see it, everything about recovery starts to make sense. So I'm gonna show you in this video the 3 patterns that the parents are unconsciously making, thinking that it's actually helping, but not quite, and what to do about it. So let's dive in. First of all, I want to be clear. This is not about blaming, criticizing, or bad parenting. Every parent literally reacts from a place of love and fear when their child is struggling with FND or functional neurological disorder. Would you agree? Because when FND shows up, your teen's nervous system becomes dysregulated, understandably so. It has been already proven by science, and often without realizing it, parents match that energy. It's almost like, how could you not, right? Because your child is struggling and you are struggling at the same time. This is precisely why. Because you care, your natural instinct is to protect, comfort, and fix. That's what loving parents do. And if you agree, give me a heart emoji down there in the comments. But this autopilot response can actually lock families into the same loop that the brain is stuck in, which is overprotecting, overanalyzing, staying hypervigilant, and trying to fix everything. Unfortunately, this is the reason why your teen might be still stuck in this vicious cycle. So what exactly are parents doing that sends this wrong signal to the brain, even when their words actually say you're safe? Pattern number 1, protecting too much or avoiding triggers completely. So here's the deal. When your teen struggles, it is totally natural to remove or want to remove any stressors or triggers. It could be anything about school, chores, social events, or any responsibilities, right? Anything that might make things worse. You want to figure that out and then nip in the bud. However, FND recovery literally depends on retraining the brain through action and a sense of control, what I would call it empowerment. So your teen has to feel like they're in control and going through actions instead of just waiting until things get better. So when parents step into protect too much or remove every single trigger on the planet, then the brain actually learns this. Movement or doing more equals not safe. This is not good. And at first, this feels like a relief because they might be having fewer flare-ups or meltdowns or even setbacks. But over time, this is exactly what happens. The brain begins to literally connect the safety only with avoidance or when they are not in that triggering situation. Then leaving that comfort zone becomes harder and harder and harder for your child over time. Understandably so, right? So why would they? Why would they want to get out of the comfort zone? But the more we protect, the stronger the hidden danger message becomes. And this is precisely why the child is staying stuck in this vicious cycle. Now, pattern 2, over-reassuring and constantly checking. Leave me a comment if you do this, okay? Many parents find themselves saying things like this: you're okay, you're safe, you're okay. Or asking, are you okay? I just saw that you had an episode. Oh my gosh, your episode was worse today and it was 5 minutes. It used to be 1 minute, that kind of thing. Every single time you want to say something like this. Again, it comes from a place of love, 100%. However, here is what actually happens when you do that. Each check-in quietly tells a teen's brain, well, something must be wrong. And because a parent is taking charge of emotional regulation of the teen, guess what? The teen starts to feel less and less in control, which is completely opposite of what is required towards recovery. So over time, this reassurance can drain confidence out of the teen, turning recovery into something that the parent has to manage instead of something that the teen can take over or leads eventually. So how do you comfort without feeding that helpless loop? By staying calm, giving space, literally, physically, and emotionally speaking, and using confident statements like, I know this is hard and I know this feels hard and your body can handle it. with 100% trust from the parents to the team. So this balance actually shows belief instead of fear. But does any of this sound familiar in your home? Maybe you've caught yourself checking in too often or trying to keep things calm all the time, like you're the last soldier in the castle kind of thing. If that's the case, tell me in the comments, because you are definitely not alone in this. Now, pattern 3, focusing only on stress or chasing symptoms. Many families are told that FND is just stress or just anxiety or just psychological, so they pour their energy into managing emotions by seeing a therapist. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. I mean, I am a licensed clinical psychologist, so I am all about therapy. However, FND thinking is just stress, then it can lead to this misdirection of, well, then all I have to do is figuring out where this stress is coming from, and I just need to manage the stress or emotion so I can manage the symptoms. Doesn't quite work that way. Or others focus on every single symptom, like counting, measuring, tracking flare-ups, like with the clipboard. What I call it the symptom-chasing behavior. The problem is this: FND is not caused by one emotion or one symptom, and it's a brain-body communication issue. Specifically, it's a real diagnosis that is brain-body miscommunication network problem, when physically your child's brain and body are okay. And when families actually chase symptoms instead of retraining the system, I use this analogy of FND as a tree, and families are forced to focus on, sometimes, every single branch like a band-aid strategy instead of focusing the entire holistic tree to heal, right? So focusing on growing stronger roots by having the better soil, water system, and sun, that kind of thing. So instead of doing that, retraining the system from the bottom up, if you continue to focus on just symptoms, then the progress gets stuck. And everyone becomes hyper vigilant because every single leaf that changes, you're like reacting with like panic and fear, right? So for teens, that means literally every small setback feels like failure, which reinforces, unfortunately, this sense of helplessness and keeps the nervous system on edge. So recovery is not about fixing or fighting symptoms. It is literally about teaching the brain new patterns through action and consistency. And here is what actually helps towards recovery for you, parents. Number 1, calm leadership instead of constant reassurance. Number 2, gradual exposure to normal life, planned and supported, starting with the baby steps. Remember, it's a gradual exposure. Number 3, steady routines, even on tough days, particularly on tough days. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you keep pushing. Remember, gradual. So starting with the baby step, and learn to be steady even on hard days. And number 4, modeling confidence, not safety language that implies danger. So your calm, confident, present self tells the teen's brain you're actually safe and you can handle this without telling your teen about it. So you're actually showing and leading by example, not telling, right? So when parents move from fear to leadership, or from rescue and policing or helicopter parents to leadership with calm mind, then everything starts to change. Once again, you are not causing FND, okay? You are not bad parent. You're actually opposite, the part of the solution and hope. Because once you notice what's been keeping things stuck, then you can finally learn to lead recovery with confidence. Now, it's super simple to say it, but you have to practice, just like how your teen needs to also practice the action, steady confidence, and routine, and all of that stuff. If this video made you feel like, oh my gosh, we were doing this all wrong, don't worry, I got you covered, because in my next video over here, I'm gonna talk more in detail about what parents do to make mistakes accidentally and exactly what to do instead. Remember, FND is not because of the bad parenting, and it is not your fault. You are just as learning this mysterious diagnosis of FND along with your teen. However, when you actually change the parenting style from micromanaging to a leadership with calm and collected mindset, that is when the recovery starts to happen. Well, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.